Imagine a 100-ton machine with a 24-foot blade and a 700 horsepower Cummins under the hood. Now imagine a road grader with 2 engines, 8 wheels, and a cab that rotates 180 degrees. These weren't science fiction. These were real machines, built by serious companies, working real jobs across America and Canada. Then they vanished. Their factories closed. Their names disappeared. Their final examples ended up in scrapyards. Today, we resurrect 10 forgotten road graders that were absolutely brilliant. Number 10. The Galion T700. We're starting with the machine that single-handedly redefined what a road grader could be. The Galion T700, the Galion Iron Works Company of Galion, Ohio, was founded in 1907 by David Charles Boyd and his 3 brothers. The company built road-building equipment for nearly 50 years before they made history in 1955. That year, Galion introduced the T700, the largest motor grader the world had ever seen. The T700 weighed over 40,000 pounds, developed 190 horsepower, and carried a 14-foot moldboard, dwarfing every competitor on the market. What made the T700 truly revolutionary, however, wasn't just its size. It was the transmission. Galion called it the Grade-O-Matic drive, and it was the first power-shift transmission ever fitted to a motor grader. The system used a torque converter, an output shaft governor, and a power-shift transmission, all controlled by just 2 simple levers, one lever for speed, one for direction. Operators who had spent decades wrestling with mechanical clutches and complicated gear arrangements could now run a grader smoothly with minimal training. Galion's success didn't end there. In 1979, the company introduced its A-series articulated graders, the A500, A550, and A600, which featured a distinctive sloped rear engine hood. But the corporate winds were already shifting. In 1973, Galion changed its name to the Galion Manufacturing Company. In 1974, Dresser Industries acquired the company. In 1986, the grader line lost the Galion brand and was sold under the Dresser name. In 1988, Galion became part of the Komatsu Dresser Company joint venture. By 1995, the 3 remaining Galion graders were renumbered to fit Komatsu's GD series, and the Galion name effectively disappeared from new equipment. The graders that built much of the American interstate highway system ended their lives wearing a Japanese badge. Number 9. The Huber 5 D190. Number 9 is a machine from one of America's oldest construction equipment manufacturers, and for 2 brief years, it held the title of the world's most powerful motor grader. The Huber 5 D190. The Huber Manufacturing Company was founded in Marion, Ohio in 1854 by Edward Huber, who was also a principal in the famous Marion Steam Shovel Company that built construction equipment for the Panama Canal. Huber introduced its first thresher in 1875, its first steam traction engine in 1898, and its first motor graders in 1943, Huber introduced what became its signature product, the Maintainer, a tractor-sized integral motor grader that filled the niche between full-sized graders and small construction tractors. But Huber's most ambitious machine arrived in 1955. The Huber 5 D190 was billed as the world's most powerful motor grader at 19.5 horsepower, edging out even the mighty Galion T700. Although the 5 D190 weighed less than the Galion at around 30,000 pounds, it carried the same 14-foot moldboard and could compete head-to-head with the largest graders of its era. For 2 years, from 1955 to 1957, Huber owned the horsepower crown. The story of Huber from there is bittersweet. In 1957, Huber acquired the W.A. Riddell Corporation, known as Wabco, which had designed one of the earliest motor graders back in 1921 to become Huber Wabco. In 1977, ATO Corporation acquired Huber and relocated operations from Marion, Ohio, to Goose Creek, South Carolina. ATO later became Figge International. In 1994, all Huber products except the M-Series Maintainers were discontinued, and the Huber division was sold to Enterprise Fabricators, which relocated production back to Galion, Ohio. Production ceased after 2002. Then in 2021, in a remarkable comeback, the M850E Maintainer was reintroduced. The brand survives today, but the legendary 5D90 is essentially extinct. Number 8. The Mitsubishi MG530. Number 8 is a machine that proves innovation didn't just come out of North America. Some of the most advanced grader engineering of the 20th century came from Japan. The Mitsubishi MG530. Built by Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, the MG530 was one of the largest and most advanced rigid-frame motor graders ever produced in Asia. And unlike many experimental machines on this list, the MG530 wasn't strange or radical in appearance. It was refined, precise, and brutally efficient. At its core, the MG530 was built for one purpose: sustained, high-precision grading under extreme working conditions. We're talking about long-haul road construction, mining infrastructure, and major civil engineering projects where consistency mattered more than anything else. The machine weighed over 40,000 pounds and was powered by a Mitsubishi diesel engine producing around 200 horsepower, putting it squarely in competition with heavy Western graders of the same era from companies like Caterpillar and Galion. But where the MG530 stood out wasn't raw size or horsepower. It was control. Japanese engineering focused heavily on smooth hydraulic response, operator visibility, and long-term durability. The MG530 featured an advanced hydraulic control system that allowed extremely fine blade adjustments, making it ideal for finish grading, the kind of work where even a slight error could cost thousands in rework. The frame design was rigid, not articulated, which by the late 20th century was already becoming outdated in Western markets. But Mitsubishi leaned into that rigidity to improve stability and grading accuracy, especially on long, straight passes like highways and airstrips. Another key advantage was reliability. These machines were built with the kind of over-engineering Japan became famous for. Simple where it mattered, but incredibly durable. In many parts of Asia and the Middle East, Mitsubishi graders developed a reputation for running year after year with minimal downtime, even in harsh climates. So why did it disappear? Not because it failed, but because global competition became ruthless. As articulated graders became the worldwide standard, and companies like Caterpillar and Komatsu expanded aggressively, Mitsubishi gradually exited the motor grader market. The demand shifted toward more flexible articulated machines, and rigid frame designs like the MG530 were left behind. Today, the MG530 is almost completely forgotten outside of older contractors and equipment enthusiasts. But for a time, it stood as proof that Japan could compete and in some ways outperform the biggest names in Western heavy equipment. It wasn't flashy, it didn't break the rules, it just did the job exceptionally well. Number 7. The Raygo Giant. At number 7 is a machine that took the dual-engine concept even further. The Raygo Giant. Raygo Inc. was best known for manufacturing soil and asphalt compaction equipment. But in 1969, the same year CMI introduced the Autoblade, Raygo entered the supergrader market with a machine that lived up to its name, the Raygo Giant. The Giant weighed 106,000 pounds, more than 50% heavier than the CMI Autoblade. Like the Autoblade, it was double articulated with a power module at each end. But where the Autoblade used 225 horsepower engines, the Giant used General Motors' 318 horsepower diesel engines, one driving the front axle and one driving the rear, giving the machine 636 combined horsepower across its drivetrain. The operator's cab was mounted on the rear frame, suspended directly over the rear articulation joint, providing the operator with a panoramic view of both the blade and the front power unit. The Giant had one notable design quirk that distinguished it from every other grader on the market. Instead of mounting the mold board on a circle that allowed it to rotate, the blade was fixed to the central frame. This made the Giant unsuited for fine precision work, but absolutely ideal for heavy-duty leveling and surface mine reclamation work where massive material movement was the priority over surface finish. The Giant was actually developed and tested by Ken Harris, a South Dakota contractor, before Raygo began commercial manufacturing in Raygo produced the Giant for over 15 years before going out of existence in 1985, when CMI Corporation purchased the company. Rights to the Raygo product line then passed to Caterpillar in 1987, but no further Giants were ever produced. A 53-ton twin-engine double-articulated grader is now an artifact of one specific era of American industrial ambition. Number 6. The Austin Weston Pesa 501. Number 6 comes from a company that pioneered some of the most innovative grader designs in American history before being shut down by corporate consolidation. The Austin Western Pacer 501S. Austin Western traces its origins to 1901, when FC Austin Manufacturing Company and Western Wheeled Scraper Company, until then fierce competitors, formed a joint sales corporation called the Austin Western Road Machinery Company in Chicago, Illinois. In 1934, the two manufacturing companies were consolidated under the Austin Western name, and in 1939, manufacturing operations were moved to Aurora, Illinois. What made Austin Western legendary in the grader world was their commitment to all-wheel drive. They were the pioneers of all-wheel drive motor graders, offering both four-wheel drive and six-wheel drive configurations. Their flagship Pacer series included machines from small utility versions to large construction site graders. Austin Western was one of the first major manufacturers to use full hydraulic rather than mechanical operation of all blade and steering controls. Another genuinely unique feature of Austin Western graders was the ability to crab steer, where front and rear wheels could be turned in opposite directions, allowing the most traction wheels to remain on the hardest surface available. In May 1971, Clark Equipment Company purchased the construction equipment division from Greyhound, which had previously owned Austin Western. In 1977, Clark introduced the Pacer 501S, an all-wheel steer, all-wheel drive grader weighing 32,000 pounds. Power came from either the Cummins VT554 or the Detroit 6V71N, both producing around 185 flywheel horsepower. The 501S could be ordered with 13-foot or 14-foot moldboards. The 501S did not sell well. Clark phased out the Austin Western name in the mid-1970s, consolidating the line into its crane division, then moving production to Lima, Ohio. Production of all Austin Western graders ended in One of the most innovative names in the history of American grader manufacturing simply disappeared. Number 5. The Allis-Chalmers Model D and M100 series. Number 5 represents an entire grader product line from one of America's greatest industrial corporations. The Allis-Chalmers Model D and M100 series motor graders. Allis-Chalmers was founded in 1901 and grew into one of the most recognizable industrial brands in America, with their famous Persian orange paint scheme spreading across farms and construction sites for decades. Allis-Chalmers entered the motor grader market relatively early and built a respected line of machines through the mid-20th century. The Model D was a popular early grader powered by a 4-cylinder gasoline engine with a 4-speed manual transmission and 10-foot moldboard, building Allis-Chalmers' reputation in road maintenance. The M100 series followed, becoming one of the most successful Allis-Chalmers grader lines. The M100 typically used a 14-foot moldboard, ran on 13.024 tires, and was powered by a 4-cylinder diesel engine. Production continued through the 1960s with various sub-variants, including the M100B and M100C. Allis-Chalmers also produced the BD3 motor grader, powered by a Detroit 371 engine, with all gear-driven controls, and various Model W graders going back to the 90s. The end of Allis-Chalmers grader production came as part of the company's broader collapse. As we covered in earlier videos, Allis-Chalmers sold its agricultural division in May 1985 to Kluckner Humboldt Deutz of West Germany. The construction equipment division had earlier been a Fiat-Allis joint venture. Through the 1990s, the Fiat-Allis brand continued producing graders including the FG35 with the Cummins C8.3 engine, the FG45, and the FG95. By the early 2010s, the Fiat-Allis name had effectively disappeared from grader production. An entire heritage of Persian orange road graders is now confined to estate auctions and antique equipment shows. Number 4. The Caterpillar number 16. At number 4 is a machine that, while not exactly forgotten, deserves recognition because it launched an entire generation of large American graders and is still a relatively obscure historical milestone. The Caterpillar number 16. Caterpillar entered the motor grader business in 1928 when it acquired the Russell Grader Manufacturing Company, which had introduced the first self-propelled grader back in 1919. Russell's Hamline, Minnesota factory became the foundation of Caterpillar's grader production. For the next 35 years, Caterpillar built progressively better but generally moderate-sized graders. Then, in 1963, Caterpillar introduced the number 16, and it changed everything. At 225 horsepower and 46,500 pounds, the number 16 was a massive jump in size for Caterpillar and was in fact the largest grader on the market at the time of its introduction. The machine carried a 14-foot moldboard and was powered by a Caterpillar D343 turbocharged engine. The number 16 used hydraulic-actuated mechanical controls on a rigid frame, designed on similar principles as Caterpillar's smaller graders of the era like the 1112E, E12E, and 14D. The number 16 enjoyed a 10-year production run before being replaced. By the end of that production run, weight upgrades had pushed it to 49,600 pounds. Then in 1973, Caterpillar replaced the number 16 with the 16G, launching the new G-series articulated graders. The 16G included the first articulated frame on a Caterpillar grader, hydraulic controls, a 16-foot blade, and 250 horsepower, later upgraded to 275 horsepower. It quickly became the standard for haul road maintenance at surface mines and major construction projects, and enjoyed a remarkable 22-year production run. The original number 16 made today's Caterpillar grader business possible, and yet outside of grader collectors, almost nobody remembers it. The world's most successful grader manufacturer started its large grader heritage with a machine most operators have never heard of. Number 3. The Wabco motor grader line. Number 3 is one of the most pedigreed names in American construction equipment and one of the most thoroughly forgotten. Wabco. The story begins back in 1885 when J.D. Adams of Indianapolis, Indiana, invented the leaning wheel principle for graders. This single innovation, making the front wheels lean against the sideways thrust generated by the angled blade, became fundamental to every grader built since. Adams founded what became the J.D. Adams Company, and Adams graders were sold throughout North America with a Canadian affiliate operating in Toronto and Winnipeg. In 1953, J.D. Adams was purchased by Letourneau Westinghouse Company, often abbreviated as Wabco. Letourneau Westinghouse itself was the result of merging R.G. Letourneau's earth-moving company with Westinghouse Air Brake, the company that had been making pneumatic brake systems since. Through corporate consolidation, the brand evolved into Westinghouse Air Brake Company, abbreviated as Wabco. Wabco graders carried the legacy of Adams's leaning wheel innovation forward through the 1960s and 1970s. They built solid mid-sized and large graders for construction and highway work, with an especially strong presence in open-cast mining, where Wabco graders maintained haul roads for the company's own line of giant 170-ton Wabco haul trucks at sites like Northern Strip Mining's Godkin open-cast coal site in Derbyshire, England. But corporate consolidation wasn't done with Wabco. The company was eventually absorbed into other industrial conglomerates, and by the 1980s, the Wabco grader line had quietly ended. Today, the Wabco name lives on in commercial vehicle braking systems, a corporate descendant of the same Westinghouse Air Brake Company. But Wabco graders themselves are confined to history. The machines that maintained American highways and Australian iron ore mines now appear only at antique equipment shows. Number 2. The J.D. Adams grader family. Number 2 is the foundational name of all American motor graders, the J.D. Adams Company. In 1885, J.D. Adams patented the leaning wheel grader, the single invention that made all subsequent grader design possible. Before Adams, graders had vertical wheels that were pushed sideways by the blade's angled cutting force, making them difficult to control and prone to walking off the work line. Adams's solution was to make the front wheels adjustable so they could be cranked to lean against the sideways thrust. That fundamental concept appears on every modern motor grader manufactured today, over 140 years later. By 1896, Adams introduced an improved four-wheel all-steel horse-drawn grader featuring an 8-foot blade and wheels capable of leaning. He nicknamed this machine the Little Wonder. As internal combustion engines replaced horses in the 1920s, Adams adapted his designs to motor power. By 1943, the J.D. Adams Company was using International Harvester power units in its 412 and 412H motor graders. The company operated successfully from its Indianapolis, Indiana headquarters for over 6 decades. Adams maintained a strong Canadian affiliate, J.D. Adams Canada Limited, with offices in Toronto and Winnipeg, Manitoba. Adams graders were known for their distinctive cab design with the frame running underneath rather than through the cab, a detail that distinguishes original Adams machines from competitors at antique shows today. Then, in 1953, the J.D. Adams Company was purchased by Letourneau Westinghouse, which absorbed the Adams brand into its own product range. The Adams name appeared briefly on graders sold under combined branding, but eventually disappeared as Letourneau Westinghouse evolved into Wabco. The company that fundamentally invented modern motor graders is now a footnote in equipment history, with surviving Adams machines highly prized at antique construction equipment shows. Number 1. The Champion 100T Big Mudder. Our number 1 is the absolute pinnacle of forgotten road graders, the single largest production motor grader ever sold commercially. The Champion 100T, nicknamed Big Mudder. The Champion story begins in 1875 with Samuel Pennock of Kennett Square, Pennsylvania, who patented a two-wheeled grader for pulling behind a team of horses. The Canadian rights to manufacture and sell Champion machines were acquired in 1892, eventually leading to the formation of Dominion Road Machinery Company in Goderich, Ontario. By 1929, Dominion Road Machinery had become an independent Canadian company, and by the early 1930s was the sole manufacturer of Champion graders worldwide. In 1975, Dominion Road Machinery took the boldest step in grader manufacturing history. They introduced the world's largest production motor grader. Originally designated the Champion 80T, this monster of the grading world featured a 24-foot mold board, a hydraulically operated articulated frame, tandem rear-wheel drive, and an 8-speed power-shift transmission providing a top speed of 35 miles per hour. In 1977, Dominion Road Machinery officially became Champion Road Machinery, and the following year, the 80T was upgraded to the 100T and earned its nickname Big Mudder. The specifications of the 100T are staggering. Operating weight 22,000 pounds. Engine, a GMC V1671T diesel rated at 700 brake horsepower. Mold board 24 feet wide. The number 100 in the model designation referred approximately to the machine's weight in tons. This was a grader designed exclusively for surface mining operations, where it would maintain haul roads for the largest mining trucks on Earth, or reclaim vast areas of strip-mined land in single passes that no normal grader could match. A few 100T graders were sold for work in surface coal mines in Illinois and the Appalachian region, and at the Canadian oil sands operations in Alberta. But the market for a 200,000-pound, 700-horsepower grader was tiny. Champion never built more than 10 100T units in the entire production run. The last Champion 100T was shipped in 1985. In 1989, Champion sold the manufacturing rights for the 100T to Dom-X Corporation of Hibbing, Minnesota. Champion itself had a long and complicated ending. The company continued building successful smaller graders into the 1990s. In 1997, Volvo purchased Champion Road Machinery. Volvo continued producing graders at the Goderich, Ontario plant, but only the articulated frame models, the rigid frame models, were dropped immediately after the Volvo acquisition. The graders were renamed and renumbered as the Volvo G-Series. Then in 2014, Volvo inexplicably discontinued motor grader production and development entirely, with limited production transferred to Volvo's Chinese STLG subsidiary. Manufacturing at the historic Goderich facility, which had been building graders continuously since the late 1800s, eventually ceased. The Big Mudder was Champion's defiant statement to the world that a Canadian grader manufacturer could build the biggest, baddest production grader on Earth. They did. They proved it. They built it. And then both the machine and eventually the company itself simply disappeared from the construction equipment world. If this video introduced you to machines you'd never heard of, smash that like button and subscribe for more forgotten equipment history. Drop a comment below telling me which grader on this list you'd most love to see working today. Did your father or grandfather operate one of these? Share your stories. Until next time, keep those old graders rolling.